go in this area you're not supposed to be in. Like, you have a restraining order not to be there, right? And community-based adjudication, that's what the joint is called. This community-based adjudication, right? The technology that's being built around it. When Pluto's in Aquarius, it might become like just a part of the social fabric, And Plutarch, they got this, Aki back at midnight, one of his tunes, he got this, it's called Loose the Gates, but he got these lyrics about the relative persecution ratio, right? Where we all got a relative persecution ratio. But there's a guy.
What does that mean?
That's what
okay.
Right? Who got these economic buttons they can push to cause certain experiences to occur in your life, right? And we all have a breaking point where, like, relative persecution ratio.
This is the point where...
Here's the point. Like, if I push, like, it might be 8 buttons for you. It might be 2 buttons for you. Or 4 of a next combination. Right? But it's this whole idea that this is like this impersonal, Plutarchian impersonal controls. That there could be a Plutarch somewhere with a bunch of buttons. And John, you went to my restaurant. You went to my restaurant chain, ate some spinach that gave you E. coli and shit, and you had the nerve to give me a bad review and post that shit online. So I'm going to start pushing your buttons, And you're going to have a relative persecution ratio. That's going to... Are you back on?
Yeah.
There'll be a combination of the buttons I could push that's going to, like, break your spirit, break your will, break your intention, So that's the biggest danger, I think, with Pluto and Aquarius. And so we mentioned this in we talked about these themes a little bit in 2021 because the theme for that year was the impersonal was going to become personal, right? Part of it was because of Saturn being in Aquarius. Saturn moving into Aquarius, squaring Uranus in Taurus. And Uranus and Taurus is kind of still active in terms of Taurus is about our lifestyle. I have. So whatever we say, I have. So everything in your house, all your possessions, which is a big reflection of your lifestyle, how you live. You know what I mean? You got a minimalist lifestyle. You got a technological lifestyle. You got a natural. All the things you have is going to reflect that. Uranus in Taurus is like making people have the smart homes and the, Bluetooth ears and the Alexa, whatever, turn on my toast, all of that is Uranus in Taurus, right? And it was squaring, like it was going to cause social challenges, social like accountability and responsibility dynamics, because it was squaring Saturn, right? But now Pluto is just going to move into Aquarius for about it'll be in there for about 16 years. So we will, and when I say we, I mean humanity as a collective, we will have to face the question are we going to go the trajectory of dystopia? You know, like that dystopian future that has been projected by Hollywood and all those different movies, you know. When Pluto moves into Aquarius, and the thing is too, there'll be because the real challenge will be when Pluto moves into Aquarius. Like right now, when it's in Capricorn, we can point to a leader. We can say, Biden, you're responsible for this. You're responsible for that, you know? But you know how the blockchain is decentralized. It's an Aquarian exchange, right? When you chain to the block, who you gonna blame? Who you gonna hold? Who can you say is your, you know what I mean? Well, it's just like the social structure. It's an impersonal control. It's like no one tells us.
It's the 800 number for Amazon.
Exactly.
There ain't one, right?
Well,
who can I call?
No one tells us to get a cell phone. No one has said you need a cell phone. You got to go get it. It's mandatory. It's going to give you cancer. We're going to surveil you, right? It's going to cost a lot.
It's the new heartbeat.
But you got to get it. No one says that, right? But who in here doesn't have a cell phone, right? So that's an impersonal control. We can't blame if we got ear cancer or Babylon jammed us up because we were sloppy on our phone and what we saying and doing, right? Who can we blame? We can't hold. No one said like you got to get it, right? And so imagine if just the whole social structure is like that, you know? And add to the equation, you got a Plutarch with a range of buttons, and he knows he's got algorithms that can figure out everyone's relative persecution ratio. You know, that's Pluto in Aquarius. So 2023, that shift is occurring late in the year, right? Saturn will be out of Aquarius by then, and Saturn will be in Pisces, which karmic responsibilities may be a big thing, you know. Time, karmic time, Saturn is time, Pisces is karma, right? But then also too, we got going and looking ahead into 2024, y'all brought up the big eclipse, which is if I remember correctly, the 8-year Is it 8 year?
7.
It's 7. 7 year, be more. The 7 year.
Since the last one?
Yes.
2017.
Yeah.
Which I have the slides, so I'm gonna just mention it because I'm gonna drop them in here. That eclipse fell hard on the U.S. chart. You know, I can't remember exactly.
I was there for the full thing. Down
Wow.
in North Carolina.
Wow.
I was in Oregon.
It made an X.
Yes.
But you were saying how that
Or
was
no.
coming into Trump's.
When you
coming
look
out of
at
his election.
how the eclipse fell on the U.S. chart and how the eclipse fell in Trump's chart, it kind of, because eclipses are historically and traditionally considered malefic omens for the nations they fall on or the monarchs they fall on. If a eclipse passed through your kingdom or passed through your nation, it says like, yo, this joint's gonna crumble, this joint's, you know, like your time is up, almost up. And so I think I covered it in the 2018 visions that is on my YouTube channel, but, and like I said, I can't remember exactly. I apologize.
The one in 2024 is going to be full eclipse in southern Illinois.
Yeah, the conjunction, they both eclipses passed a point in Illinois. Maconda.
Makanda. Just the W, but the M.
Interesting.
That's the name of the place.
Yeah.
UNM.
So same thing, just upside down.
I'm just curious if that's maybe a place where we should migrate in 2024. If that would be that spot to see it, you know, a little
interesting.
what we brought up about Astral Valley.
Yes.
And how that was a little bit west of Maconda, and it's a little bit south of Cahokia.
Yes. I'll take one too. Thank you.
So can I make a quick comment?
Please.
So the eclipses. Eclipses are some of my favorite markers when looking in the sky and stuff like that. So as you described it, I've never heard it described this way before, but I always like to look at more personal as opposed to like the larger stories which are happening out there. So I look at the eclipse on the personal level. So I never thought about it on a nation level. You said clearly, it's like, eclipses traditionally are a malefic omen for nations and monarchies. So if we flip this, and I want to go back to like the question which John was pointing out, I was like, well, what do we do? So if you flip that truth, that knowledge, who was telling you that? It was like, the royal, like they knew. Because the opposite is eclipses are benefic omens to nomadic travelers, the opposite of countries and monarchs, like everything. So it's like when you look at it, so that's what the eclipse is. So where the eclipse goes is that's what it rewards, because it's breaking down the system of whatever monarchy and empire represents, whatever that one is. Like, yeah, the eclipse don't like that. So that's how I like to meet that. So we're all eating our granola bars.
What's the date?
April 8th.
April 8th, 2024.
April 8th. We're storming the.
That's interesting too, because how this year there's double twos.
Yes.
And how that's just numerologically played out, and I've observed a lot of 20. And I know Mike has spoke about 20. There even is a 248 frequency. 48 April 8th is 4/8, and then 2024, right? So there might be overtones of this year playing out in 2024, you know? And Jupiter will be in Taurus, which should be, might be some great crystals and crystal technologies, or some abundant resources that, you know, weren't tapped into before, but now we're able to tap, manifest in 2024 with that Jupiter and Taurus, you know? Yeah. Yes,
Also,
sir.
there's a reading of an eclipse on the petroglyphs out there in the river. It's the sun blacked out with round dots around it.
What did you do?
Up there by Beckwood, State Farm.
10 minutes from here.
Yeah.
10 minutes from here is like the location where the petroglyphs.
You talking about?
I talk about it all the time. Like we're in that space.
Oh,
Right.
So in everything which we're talking about here, if you put it into context of like, okay, well then now let me go look at the rock carvings, the petroglyphs from that lens.
Yeah.
And that being the eclipse, I think that's and we're going there for the equinox, correct?
Yeah,
Yes, we are.
To the petroglyphs?
To the petroglyphs. Sunrise, right?
I was thinking sunset.
Sunset. So I'm following his lead. So
both would work.
Both would work.
There's two serpents, and they in between the sun will illuminate in between them on the spring equinox and the autumn equinox. One is the sunrise and the other is the sunset. But so
And that's what, September?
Oh, the
21st?
September 21st.
That's my birthday.
22nd.
Wow.
So if you were here, and if you want to
We
see
were
it,
thinking about Serpent Mound too, though. But, I think that would be dope to wrap back up.
40th parallel convergence.
That's my birthday that day too.
Did we hit the points y'all wanted to hear on the update, astrological update?
Yeah, anything that collectively, because everything I need to be just have a collective. Like, what big event do you expect before the year's end? What should we like before the year's end? Because all this, changing over. Like what? What can we cap this off with for the year? And what should we prep for? How should we prepare ourselves to not fall prey to a lot of the energies, you know what I'm saying, and saying, like, get off your ass shit. You know what I mean? Like, what like, spiritually, what do we do to prep?
Well, with Jupiter retrograde, it's in the time to try to start anything.
Okay.
Or we even say, like, don't even I look at retrogrades like the Sankofa, right? Where the Sankofa bird, right, its feet are moving forward, but it's looking backwards, right? And yeah, sealing up unfinished business, right? Like bringing together lessons that of experiences you might have, went through, right? Those are the type of things you want to do when it's a heavy retrograde energy. So then when everything moves direct, you're ready to move forward. But if you just attempt during retrograde to move forward, you might be frustrated. It might be feeling like you're working. That's when we say, oh, it feels like one step forward, two step back, you know. So that's, and another way to look at retrograde, particularly Jupiter retrograde. This is why Jupiter is the ruling planet of Sagittarius, right? And archery. The further back you pull the bow, the further the arrow will go, right? So, you know, that's what they say, like, don't resist retrogrades. You know, I think that's why Mercury retrogrades trip people up so much. They try to fight against it, where it's like, nah, man, you got to get your car fixed.
Yeah.
You
I had
know?
to learn that because I was getting decimated. And then I realized that it's everything with a R-E. Relax.
That's right.
Realize.
Rejuvenate.
Rejuvenate.
Yes.
Like,
there's a lot of great rewords.
Don't respond like, you know what I'm saying, like it's a RE thing.
Yes.
And if you activate the RE thing, you can kind of win some of these retrogrades.
Absolutely.
Man. And that's what I've been
release.
I've been winning in retrogrades, man. So I know, I don't know if it's that magical period you've been talking about, but there's been some victory in the retrograde.
What I've been learning with retrograde, looking at others, having the fortune of being able to study a lot of people. If you have retrograde, if you're born in retrograde energy, retrograde periods tend to be when you do your thing, you know.
And I think I was going in a retrograde period too. September, I think it's coming up. Retrograde, Mercury's retrograde in September, I believe.
When in Libra, okay. Because if Mercury's retrograde, it's usually in an air sign. So Libra season, Gemini season, Aquarian season is when you'll most likely find Mercury retrograde.
Last year in the Virgo season.
Yeah, well, Virgo's right next to Libra, so sometimes it could be in there. And Mercury rules Virgo too.
Yes, Mercury rules, yes. Yep, it's a fact.
What's your thoughts, Mystic Mike?
In what regard? Because I certainly
close it. You got any closing thoughts or closing words?
So yes, I do. Because we started this. We started this conversation about like this forward movement, which we're seeing in our own lives, and we talked about like going through the portal of the portals, and we're seeing that, and we're looking at what's happening in life right now, like that's really happening, and that's really kind of intense. And so now we just had a conversation. We've had some really interesting conversations today. This has been a lot of fun. We should do these field trips more often, by the way. But then we're like looking at the future. We can't ask that question without putting into context of like, but now we're in something like really new. We just described that. That was the first part of this conversation. Like that's not just like, oh, I'm going to pick and say this is the portal. Like this really happened. Look at these last couple of years. Look at what's moving. Like that's really, so what we're meeting, particularly if we don't want to do the same things which we've done before, we got to meet it in a new way. And so like my thought is, like to your question, you should be prepared to meet whatever the future has, no matter what the future may be. Like, when you're in that principle, and we're now literally in that uncharted territory. So now more than ever is like, no matter what's coming, like we whatever your principle is of how you meet life, like, yeah, like double down. But if that hasn't really been working for you, well, then maybe you get a new set. Stand on your square.
Yo, thanks for inviting us out here to Gnome countryside.
When you're talking about the imagination, the magi. And then I just was thinking of the Gnome Man's one of his final statements about the imagination and how that is in.
You know, when he said that, it was equivalent to him talking about remembering this or something like that was another key. Because I came to imagination realization when I first moved to Pittsburgh. I was like, magi. I was like, that's a group of people. It was like a eureka. It was like, boom. I was like, man, create. You know, like we create the reality. Like, yo, everything around here is a manifestation of somebody's, you know, thought made manifest.
Yes.
And then here we are, like, I'm like, man, hold on. Man, this is powerful. Like, this is, like, you got to be careful what you're thinking because this is what the thought do. You know, so now we amongst a multitude of millions of imaginations all jumbled up in this one space. You know what I'm saying? But it's really just this one, it's the one God. You know what I'm saying?
Source, yes.
It's the one source.
Right.
But the level of fragmented, how the idea that this fragmented is where I think we get lost at. But really, the way I put it, the way I remember it is by looking at me having conversations with my fragmented self here right now. You all are aspects of this oneness.
Of the singularity.
Of the single, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So this is a practice that I've been doing lately, like getting up with myself. And there's many cultural aspects and there's many, you know, fat, skinny, low, high, you know what I'm saying, cells, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that part. But yeah. This is dope.
You can't have an image without an eye mage.
Yeah. And I've seen it, like, you know, like literally everything I realize that I can see in here. See, if you can't see it in here, it'll never be out here. It could never exist. But the minute you can see it in here, is you gotta hold that or you gotta it'll manifest itself. Good or bad, so one would do well kind of learning how to control the thoughts and the shadow stuff, and it's just so much entails our cause and effects out here and the shit that we don't see within ourselves and who we are and the power that we have, man. So this is good, man. This is just me talking to me, you know what I mean? No ego shit. It's just I've accepted who people, you know what I'm saying? I get this.
Yes.
You know? So this is the way we remember. You know?
I wonder if this is a time to hold on to our vision or open ourselves up to receive a new one.
That's the need right on the planet right now. That's the whole new. It's a need for a new thought, a new gnosis. You know, like, yeah. You see, ain't nothing new under the sun, so I don't know if we really need two suns to be able to manifest new things. But yeah, man, that part. But it's changing out here. It's different, and the summation of what it's gonna come to is going to entail our imagination to the best or the highest of, you know, that we can see it. You know what I'm saying? Right? Because again, we create this shit. We did all this. You know?
So Mike,
that's the highest idea.
Have you met any gnomes in Gnome countryside, bro?
I'm gonna stop